everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another cruise with Smooth. Big Smooth here. So late or early Tuesday morning, I was over at a buddy's house, Danny, of I'm No Expert, and we were talking about weirder stuff, not really politics so much. The first show that we did was on aliens, and we had a lot of fun. It got funny, we cracked each other up, but that's not really what I wanted to talk about. So before I get into today's discussion, give me a like, share, rate, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to know when stuff's going up. And if there's anything that you want to hear my opinion on, give me a comment and I'd be more than happy to. So, one of the things that I've watched enough on YouTube to really just irk me is when you have speakers or just people with opinions out in public and they end up getting verbally or even physically assaulted for their opinions because they're not in line with other people's opinions. Drives me nuts. And the reason being is on a lot of the issues where these verbal and physical assaults take place, there, in my opinion, there should be a legitimate discussion about these issues. And not Nazi, hater, transphobe, homophobe, Islamophobe. No, I think that there needs to be legitimate discussion that's civil, back and forth, no disparaging. I got into that earlier in like my first or second video, I think. But where you bounce ideas off one another to try to come up with the best idea. Case in point, the wall. If you support the wall, according to 50% of the population, you're racist. No. I support the wall because I do not like what the cartels are bringing across the border as far as drugs, guns, violence, human trafficking, etc. Now, I'm open to interpretation on what the wall should be. I personally think that a 50-foot tall physical barrier might be overdoing it, and hey, I'm entitled to my opinion, but I think that securing the border should be a priority of the United States. I mean, look at all the money we pour into securing our ports. Why wouldn't we secure 1,000 miles of open desert where people can walk, just literally walk through? Or they could till recently. But there's tons of ways that you can secure that. You can have solar-powered UAVs with thermal cameras. You can have fixed surveillance cameras looking for stuff. You could have seismic activity sensors so that if people are trying to tunnel under something, that's going to go off. So there's a ton of different ways to secure it, but I do think that the southern border should be secured. for the reasons I've stated. That doesn't make me a xenophobe. I have Mexican friends. And not token Mexican friends. These are just people that I met that I keep in touch with. That, I genuinely care about their families and their lives, and I hope things go well for them. But if you look at polling data, the legal immigrants hate the illegal border jumping cut-throughs, because you've got people that are waiting in line, spending the money to come here legally, whether it be a work visa or permanent citizenship. And then you've got a ton of people that are just jumping the line because they live close. That's not fair to anybody. I seen an illustration years ago about, and I know that this is one of the arguments about not building the wall, that there's refugees and stuff south of the border that need to come through. I get that. There's a lot of places that a lot of these cartels and the gang violence south of the border is fueled by American dollars in drug money. These cartels become very wealthy and powerful because we buy their drugs as Americans. So I think that cutting them off from their American cash sources would drastically help with the violence down there, because they would not be as powerful as they are. But I seen a video one time that was arguing the best way for America to help the world. And the guy used gumballs as an illustration, and each gumball represented 1 million people on the planet. And he divided them up into countries and, which ones live on the least amount per day and so on and so forth. Really interesting video, but the takeaway is that the United States would be incapable of sustaining all the people that live below the poverty line in the world. There's not enough ground here to grow enough food. There's not enough ground here to grow enough meat to sustain everybody that lives below the poverty line, let alone the financial side of it, of trying to pay farmers and ranchers to grow enough to feed them. The only way to help them is in their own the only way to help the majority of those that are in such poverty is to try to help them in their own country by setting up the systems and government structures necessary for them to take care of themselves there. Very interesting video. If I can find a link to it, I'll put it in the comments. No promises. And the guy went into a lot more detail than that. This was a 10-15 minute video. I just thought it was very interesting the way that he broke it down. And I'm not opposed to refugees that are coming here that have reasons to come here, but a lot of them aren't vetted. A lot of them have no direct threat where someone is coming after them specifically. A lot of them just live in bad areas, and I get that. And I've left a bad area, not downtown Atlanta or Detroit, but for years I lived in a neighborhood that had gone downhill. Right after I left, there was actually a 2-victim shooting a block away from my house at a gas station. Teller and an innocent bystander died. And I had gotten gas there before. I had gotten Gatorade and stuff there before. So that rattled me a little bit, and I didn't even live there. Just knowing that my old neighborhood had gone downhill, we had gotten broken into. Our garage had been broken into several times, detached storage garage. All of our neighbors had been broken into at some point. There was a couple other shootings in that area, none of them fatal. But I left. Moved out into the absolute middle of nowhere for my state. And now if you hear guns going off, it means something different. Someone's out target shooting, having a good time, or they're hunting. So I'm glad to be where I'm at, but I didn't demand anyone do it for me. I got family to help me move. I did borrow a trailer from a family member. But other than that, it was me moving, and then I took care of the bills once we got moved. I was not anyone's responsibility. And I realize that that's not possible for everybody, but I think that at the rate with which the government can hemorrhage cash that it doesn't have, that taking a long, hard look at budget line items is a good thing. Gonna flashback here. In 2015-16, the person that I was pulling for Republican presidential nominee was someone that didn't get close. Ben Carson. The reason why I liked Ben Carson is he had a ton of great ideas that would have helped solve the budget, but none of them were insanely drastic. He wanted, the big idea that I liked is he wanted every federal department to reduce spending by 3% per year during his first term. The reason why I like that is that's not a drastic move. It's going to compound, but it's not a drastic move. You've got the current federal budget overreach is somewhere around 33%, but if you sign that into law where every year that happened, they're going to learn how to work smarter, not harder. Or just throwing more manpower at it. They could streamline a lot of their bureaucratic processes in order to make the government run more efficiently instead of just requiring more manpower. And I realize a lot of that you can't streamline the military too much, because a lot of that you do need people in boots. But the pencil pushers and desk jockeys, their jobs could absolutely become more efficient. And if you just didn't have to, if a department were expanding, they cut 2 people out of that expansion. Or they don't replace retirees as rapidly. There's a ton of ways to do that where it's not drastically noticeable, and they just get a little bit better at their jobs to keep their bureaucratic paper throughput the same. But meaningful discussions are what change things, not name calling and Nazi, you're a Nazi because you disagree with me, and well, you're a libtard because you disagree with me, and well, you're a whatever. calm, level-headed discussions are what's going to accomplish the most in solving the problems that we have. I think the debates for the past, since I've been paying attention to politics, the debates have been a dumpster fire being put out by a vomit cannon. Sure, it makes good television, but you're not really getting anything out of it aside from the fireworks, which can be entertaining, not gonna lie. I think that the debate format is outdated. With YouTube and other streaming services available, people could tune into a lot longer of a debate. And like with YouTube, I've listened to every debate. Now, that didn't mean I went straight through each one. I'd pause it, go back into history, and bookmark where I was. So I think that the debate format's antiquated. But that's just to fit within the confines of current television. So, anyway, have meaningful, sincere discussions. Don't name call. Don't take it down to the most base level of insult. Act like adults. That's my thoughts for today. Again, don't forget to like, share, rate, comment, subscribe, notification bell. Let me know if there's something that you want to hear my opinion on. My buddy Danny is posting some more podcasts this week. He and I have laid out probably 8 or so shows worth of material. He is going to be having other guests on there talking about other things. I will be putting links to all this in the comment or in the description below. Hope everyone has a good day. Take care.